Does the poor old relative of the editor of the Clarion get a special rate on advertising?
Maybe, if you can pay cash. What do you have in mind?
Well, I'd like to take some big half-page ads next Saturday, the Saturday after, and the following Saturday.
It's a lot of advertising. A lot of money, too. What are you going to advertise?
I'm going to auction off all the stuff in the chandlery. I mean it. That's what I'm going to do.
You've been having trouble with your heart again?
Of course not. Nothing of the sort. I never felt better. The fact is, I've got a notion. This old boy has come up with a great notion. I'm going to start a new business. What would you say to your father opening up a general store?
A what?
A general store. You've heard of it.
Yes, I've heard of it. Look, Dad, if the chandlery isn't paying, then I agree with you. Something has to be done. Maybe the two of us can work out some way to make it pay. Or maybe I can help you select some other kind of a business.
Son, my mind is made up.
But, Dad, a general store, that's as obsolete as penny candy. And what makes you think you know how to operate a general store?
Elliot, I don't want you to think I don't want your advice and help. I do, but I've got to have something that's a challenge, something to keep me alert, something to keep me on my toes, to keep me from getting older. I don't feel sorry for me.
Oh, no. I'm not feeling sorry for you at all. I've always admired your youth, and your vigor, and your enthusiasm. But
Why the general store? I'll tell you. Because I believe in old-fashioned ideas and things, and I think a lot of other people do, too. Oh, Elliot, I'm going to have the doggonedest stock of general merchandise you ever saw. I'm going to have old telephones and handmade chairs and pot-bellied stoves and cracker barrels and penny candy and all that stuff that was well-made and lasted a long time and should never been modernized or mechanized or plasticized or any of that stuff. Do you understand what I mean?
yeah, I do. That sounds like a great idea. I think the tourists will flock to a place like that. I think you're a very sly and a clever old man to think of something like that.
Maybe it's silly for an old man like me to start a new business at my age, but who's going to stop me?
Not me, Dad.
Good. Now then, what kind of a discount are you going to give this poor old relative of yours?
Oh.
Come in.
I didn't realize the roads were so bad.
He's in the living room.
How long am I going to get this chill every time I come here?
Do you want an honest answer?
Yes?
As long as you're in Stella Chernak's camp. There's a murder trial going on, Doctor. Mr. Peyton.
Huh? Oh, Dr. Rossi. Come in.
Well, that's an interesting piece, Mr. Peyton.
Yes, the snowflakes are made of chipped ivory. I picked it up in London at an auction. Belonged to Charles Dickens. Given to him by his publisher in anticipation of his new novel, Edwin Drood. Unfortunately, he never lived to finish it.
That's probably because he disobeyed his doctor's orders and went out when the weather was extremely bad.
Now, which one of my velvet-gloved jailers informed on me?
Mr. Peyton, it's difficult to remain inconspicuous when you own the only $20,000 automobile in Peyton Place. Would you have this filled for Mr. Peyton, please, Vinny?
More pills?
Well, after a period of time, Mr. Peyton, the medicine you've been taking has a tendency to cause a high acidity. This will neutralize that. There's no reason why we should add an ulcer to your inventory.
My stomach's fine.
You'll take one before each meal. Betty, would you mind if I see Mr. Peyton alone for a moment?
Excuse me.
I take it you've managed to wade through my medical history.
Mr. Peyton, you've had the best doctors in the country. Their prognosis is accurate. 1 year, 2 at the outside.
I know how good my doctors are. Of course their prognosis is accurate. What I want to know is how good you are. Can you keep me functioning for 2 years?
Maybe.
Maybe isn't good enough. Can you or can't you?
If you insist on indulging yourself in every whim, Mr. Peyton, no one can keep you functioning. Now, I want you to spend the next 24 hours in bed.
I can't put my house in order lying flat on my back.
All right, then you're going to have to find yourself another physician. When Gus Chernak broke in here last night, it was an extreme shock to your nervous system. I ordered you to bed, but you chose to spend the next day walking around in sub-zero weather. Well, if you're going to commit suicide, you're going to have to do it without me.
Hold on, Rossi. I guess things won't become much more unglued in 24 hours.
I want to see Mr. Peyton.
Dr. Rossi's with him right now. I'll tell him you're here.
Betty, when you came to see Rodney this morning...
I'll tell him you're here. Mr. Harrington's here.
Mr. Peyton.
Tell him to wait.
Yes, sir.
Sit down, Rossi. Please, Doctor. Give me just 5 minutes, and I'll spend 24 hours plus 5 minutes lying on my back staring at the ceiling.
I'm not in the mood to horse trade, Mr. Peyton.
There are 2 things I can't afford just now, Doctor. Dying and letting Leslie Harrington know I'm dying.
Five minutes. Leslie?
Hello, Doctor. Is anything wrong?
Yes. No man that age has a right to so much energy. He'll see you now.
What do you want?
$1,000 for a boy's birthday.
A boy. I was under the impression that 21 years marked the advent of manhood. You were never very good at remembering birthdays, were you? What's the matter? Did you forget this one?
Apparently you've forgotten something. We had an agreement. For the duration of Rodney's trial, there was to be no interference, no antagonism.
I gave the boy a gift. Don't blow it up, all out of proportion.
The gift was all out of proportion.
There are very few occasions in a man's life worth celebrating. The day he legally comes to age is one of them. I would have given Rodney a substantial gift under any circumstances. All the more reason to do so that he's strapped for funds.
That was one of your typical attempts to bribe your way into his confidence.
Surely you don't think your son could be bribed?
Oh, no, you're not going to twist things this time. It was an attempt to bribe him. To win his affections. Right now, Rod is very vulnerable. Susceptible to any kind of generous gesture. And $1,000 is a generous gesture. If it doesn't have strings attached.
There are no strings attached.
There were strings and a hook. He accepted the check, didn't he? And that's what you wanted. You said yourself, Rod isn't a boy any longer. He's going to be capable of looking at you with a man's eyes. And I'll see to it that he does.
You never did belong in this house, Leslie. Maybe Rodney does.
Preview from the continuing story of Peyton Place.
For Chernak, I feel pretty lucky. I'm alive. And I'm going to see that Rodney gets what's coming to him.
It's like the old fable of the dog in the manger. You don't want him, but you won't let him go. Maybe you are trying to find yourself, but so am I, Allison.
Well, then he didn't have any direct access to the formulas he stole.
No, but Stella Chernak did.